touched the white stone for paradise because of their disbelief, turned it black, you wonder why you have disquiet in yourself. Part of it is the depressed chicken you ate yesterday, and the day before, and the day before. Why do you think Sayyidina Abu Bakr, when his servant had earned some money from haram way, and he put the locum in his mouth, he made himself vomit it out? Why do you think someone like Shah Naqshband Qudsu grew his own wheat from his own land in Bukhara? He planted it himself, he tended it himself, he gathered it, he ground it, he made his own bread. He would not eat from people's hands when they didn't have wudu. He wouldn't eat from them if he knew that they were angry. Because all these things, the manawiyat, are transferred. Why would not Imam Nawawi buy fruits from Damascus? Because he knew that some of those lands were lands that were confiscated from Al-Qaf. And he didn't know which ones they were, so he avoided those fruits. He didn't know whether they were permissible or not. He could have done the probability excuse, made the niyat, the fruit I'm buying is from one of the halal sources. That's a fatwa given by contemporary scholars on certain issues like that. You make the intention that what you're taking is not from the illicit part, from the illicit part, not from the halal part, not from the haram. And that operationalized niyat will be an excuse for you to take it, whatever it may be, your paycheck or whatever it may be. For example, in Turkey, the thing called tekel in Turkey, it's the government-run alcohol and tobacco conglomerate. The Turkish government makes a lot of money from, Turks smoke a lot. Every Turkish baby is born with a pack of cigarettes. That's my joke. And so, and you're a government employee, you're a Muslim, so what do if all this money from haram sources is mixed with your salary? So the scholars give a fatwa. You make the intention that your money for your salary came from a source where the government has a illicit source of collecting money, for example, taxes, for example. And so, that's your intention. But you actually don't know whether your paychecks, the chain of money goes back to tekel and revenues of alcohol distribution and sales or not. So you operationalize it. So they give the average person a way out. A way out. But understand, you buy that chicken like that, that will affect you. But you're not thinking about stuff like that. My goodness, you're taking Islam to an extreme position. That's hard, Naeem. It's not hard. It's only hard for people who don't agree to do it. If you want it, someone wanted this center built, right? Here it is. You can change things if you come together to change things, if you have the vision of change. These things I'm telling you is because of tasawwuf. Because tasawwuf is telling me to strive for excellence. It's taking my formal religion beyond mere formality to seeking that the things that I do are very sacred. I know that everything I do has a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I have a relationship with it. So it's a triad. Me, the thing, and God. And we have a relationship. So, you need to be very mindful that all of you are on a journey, and it's going to come to... I was there visiting the grave of a beautiful brother. His name is Junaid. He passed away in 2008. And he was a dear friend and someone I love in my stay here in Bradford. When I lived here for a year, back in 2002, 2003. And I visited him today, and I stood on his grave, and it was very emotional for me personally. Part of it was because it was missing a friend. I could see his face, I could remember him, how he dressed, how he walked, how he smiled, and I felt the separation. But it was also my death that I'm remembering. Because I'm headed towards the cemetery. My life journey ends in the cold ground of a cemetery. Which may be the cold ground here, of the cemetery here in Bradford. Maybe I'll die here and I'll be interred there. And I'll be out there in this night sky night, in that cold weather, a few feet underground, in darkness and coldness. And I'm headed there. Or perhaps it'll be in Texas, or perhaps it'll be in Medina, perhaps it'll be in Mecca, perhaps it'll be where no one will find my body. Except some crows and some other animals which will pick away at my bones and scatter me around, and then Allah will bring them back one day. I don't know. But that's the reality. So my life course is ahead of me and I'm moving forward. And I need to be mindful of every step. Junaid said, الطرق كلها مسدة على خلق إذا على من اكتفى أثر النبي. He said all the paths are barred except for the person who places his feet in the footprints of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet brought you Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. He has told you to pray as you've seen him pray, outwardly and inwardly. Allah commands you, قَدْ أَفْلَهَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا, and doesn't command. He says, he makes a clear statement, قَدْ أَفْلَهَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Abundantly fruitful, productive, successful is the soul that purifies itself. The base brought down and destroyed is the one who destroys his own soul. So, tasawwuf in our time is a part and parcel of the deen. It has always been taught that way. Just as we have disciplines of fiqh, legal theory, usul, fiqh itself in a sense of the legal tradition, to the traditional schools of legal practices, the Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali, which have survived intact until the earliest periods of the formation, the formative periods. Hadith sciences, which preserve the tradition. The Arabic language. Thank Allah for Sibawayh, who, a contemporary of Abu Hanifa, was the great grammarian who first initiated a process of codifying the Arabic language. And others. All those disciplines that you accept, you are learning in this place and other places in this country, are because of processes and activities set in place to preserve Islam and Iman, bodily and creedal aspects. Tasawwuf is that branch of historical manifestations to operationalize and experience as if you worship God. Tasawwuf is about bringing to a state as if you can see God, to bring the ihsan into your life. So it has structure and order and practices, just as the faqih has a set of principles and maxims to get him to understand, to derive fiqh rulings from primary sources, the Quran and the Sunnah. The people of Tasawwuf have principles and maxims and practices and methodology to operationalize the concept of the Quran, of good character, etc., etc. So you see it that way. And anyone who doesn't see it that way has not understood Islamic history, has not read history apparently, or has read a contrived version of history to suit an agenda, or something like that. It's not strange and weird, but some Sufis can be odd, I must admit. It's premised upon the Quran and the Sunnah. It must be Sharia compliant. And just as there are Aqidah issues out there, where people have deviated from mainstream beliefs, we mentioned the Gabriel Hadith. The reason why Sayyidina Umar, son Abdullah, Allahumma, when he narrated this hadith from his father, was because two men came to him and asked him about the Qadariyah. These groups of contemporaries of the companions who denied the Qadr. They didn't believe in Qadr. They were a deviant group. They were one of the very first deviant groups from issues of the issues of belief. And so Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar, he narrates from his father the Gabriel hadith because it mentions Qadr. That's the purpose of it. So there is an orthodoxy of beliefs, correct belief. So if you believe like a Jabriya that Allah is as a Jabr decrees